Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Monday, the 22nd of April for the keynote, which is the kickoff for our GSE virtual conference this year. My name's Mark Wilson. I'm the GSE UK conference manager. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Meredith, who's the VP of Ecosystems for System Z and Linux One at IBM. I'm going to keep my bit really short and sweet. If you've got questions, pop them in the chat window and I will moderate them and feed them to Meredith as and when ready. Meredith, over to you. And thank you very much to you and the team for doing this for us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. Really do appreciate it. I am so excited to be here to help kick this off. My name is Meredith Stoll. I lead our IBM Z and Linux One ecosystem initiatives. And what an incredibly exciting time to be a part of this community and working on the platform. We're going to have primarily a panel discussion today. I've got a fantastic panel assembled here, so we'll introduce them in just a little bit. But I'd like to just kind of get started with talking a little bit about the momentum and why is it exciting to be in this space right now. You know, IBM Z remains a critical part of the IT infrastructure that powers the global economy and continues to have huge momentum behind it. Now, installed capacity, for example, it's increasing around 3 times every 10 years. And the Z16, it's the most successful hardware program ever. So thank you to everyone that is here today that has made that possible for the continued support of the mainframe platform. Now, I spend a lot of time with clients and partners all over the world. And when we talk about futures, you know, one topic that always comes to the fore is skills. So I'm going to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about skills. Modern mainframe skills, absolutely critical as businesses implement AI, modernize their applications, integrate across the enterprise, and continue digital transformation. In fact, skills are truly the foundation for the future of the platform. Whether we're training new talent, deepening the skills of our existing community, or introducing new technology and capabilities to the platform. In fact, we did a recent study. IBM, Broadcom, and 21CS commissioned the Futurum Group to do a survey of businesses, university leaders, and students about the trends across the mainframe landscape. And the survey covered several topics, including, but not limited to, talent acquisition, curriculum and development, and the skills offerings, as well as the priority areas of focus for students studying in the mainframe. And what came out of that study? That 60% of organizations surveyed indicated that they were closely working with industry vendors on non-traditional areas, whether it's boot camps, training, apprenticeship programs, to really connect the skilled applicants. They also found a very, very healthy pipeline of demand for the talent, with 91% of the organizations surveyed indicating they anticipate hiring mainframe system administrators or mainframe application developers over the next 1 to 2 years. In fact, our entire community, particularly GSE UK, are invested in building the skills for the future, and many have different regional initiatives that are going on. They have made significant progress, but there's still more that we can do. So to bring the broader global community together and to continue to build skills for the future, IBM has announced the launch of the Mainframe Skills Council. This council will provide a forum where global organizations work together, creating an exciting opportunity to really unite this global community to share all of the various experiences, but most importantly, to collaboratively implement solutions to build a strong global workforce for the mainframe platform for today and for the future. Now, members in this council, they're representatives across the entire community, clients, partners, academia, user groups, nonprofits, open communities. And the framework is going to enable us to have working groups that are focused on career awareness, job roles, competency frameworks, learning paths, as well as an ongoing talent growth. And it builds on the many different IBM mainframe skills programs that we already have in place and that have been very successful. In fact, making learning accessible is a cornerstone of the IBM approach. In addition to traditional academic curriculum, IBM has also turned to non-traditional paths beyond the classroom to inspire, connect, train, and grow a new mainframe talent pool. In fact, I want to talk about a couple of these different programs that are out there. They include, number one, to help to inspire. We've got on-campus IBM Z student ambassadors at over 150 university campuses worldwide. They are inspiring students because we know that that peer-to-peer influence and working with the peer-to-peer is truly what helps to create that community and inspire those individuals. They host events as well as establish mainframe student clubs and societies there on campus. Now, IBM also facilitates IBM Z Career Connection events all around the world, bringing together employers and students, as well as the IBM Z Explore learning experience to encourage students to earn digital credentials. Now, once individuals have those digital credentials, we also then sponsor IBM Z virtual career fairs. In fact, we just recently had one in Europe. These virtual career fairs, they connect this badge talent to employers. It provides an opportunity for employers to meet that talent and for that talent to actually connect with potential employers. We'll continue to have these virtual career fairs all over the world. We have a couple of them coming up in May. In addition, we've got the new Mainframe Skills Depot. It's a comprehensive platform with over 1,000 hours of hands-on, self-paced mainframe training courses. But what's unique is that it's all organized by job roles. Whether you're new to the system administration or app development, or if you want to deepen your skills, there's also content for modernization architects. Are you looking at how can you modernize? What is application modernization all about? Where do you get started? How do you get started? That is all available through the Mainframe Skills Depot. And it complements all of the technical training sessions and everything else that GSE UK has to offer. So it's not an or, it's about an and. We also have the IBM Z Global Skills Accelerator and Apprenticeship Program. It's available to mainframe employers for new or existing employees. And it's a holistic approach to build skills without requiring employees to have any IT background or education. With over 300 hours of training and learning, it also includes success coaching, on-the-job training, mentorship. Once again, it's that holistic approach to building not just knowledge, but true skills. This program has enabled to date 83 global employers to skill up over 400 new mainframe sysadmins and application developers. And that number just continues to grow. In fact, I think that we're probably now at least at 440 and on our way to 500. But addressing mainframe skills, it extends beyond just education and training. There are so many new technologies that IBM has introduced to help reduce the amount of specialized skills that are required. These technologies, I would say, could be grouped into 3 different areas. First, simplification. We're constantly looking to simplify processes across the hardware and software stack to reduce the number of specialized activities that are required to operate and maintain the system. Second is standardization. We've been investing in adopting open and industry standards across the IBM Z platform. And then finally, third, AI and automation. We are leveraging AI to automate tasks that today require manual intervention. For example, we're starting the journey to infuse AI into the OS, as well as enabling generative AI to be utilized to accelerate application modernization. So not just training, not just education, but also how can we leverage the technology today to help reduce the number of specialized skills and ease the onboarding, but not just the onboarding onto the platform, but also the continuation of maintaining and supporting and innovating with the platform. So IBM mainframe skills programs provide an opportunity for everyone, whether you're new to Z and starting to build your mainframe skills, If you're experienced on Z and you want to expand your capabilities, if you're an expert and you want to share your knowledge with others, or you're an employer who's looking for new talent, the skills programs can help our entire community succeed now and into the future. And speaking of the future and speaking of innovation, we are joined today by a panel of individuals who are working in the lab to support our clients now and into the future by constantly bringing industry-first technology to the platform. And we're going to talk not only about what are they working on, but also a little bit about their own journeys to the platform. So I just want to quickly go around the room and introduce our panelists and have them introduce themselves and what you do on the platform. So I'll start with Zakir.
Hi everyone. So I'm Zakir, and I work as an IBM client technical specialist, and specifically around Z security. So I've only recently come to the company, and I'm an early professional. So I've been here. It's coming to about 2 years now, and I've loved every second of it. And I'm a degree apprentice at the same time, so I juggle that, and I also do my uni stuff.
Holy smokes. All right, we're going to definitely get into that and all the things that you're doing. That is fantastic. Welcome, Zakir. Anne Dames?
Hello, hello, everyone. My name is Ann Dames, and I'm a distinguished engineer on the IBM Z Systems platform. I work in the security area. My focus is something called cryptographic technology development, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, I look at how we can make sure that the platform is secure, how we can make sure that we provide capabilities for our clients to make their applications and solutions secure as well. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Meredith.
Awesome. Thanks, Anne. Look forward to hearing from you. Andre.
Hello, my name is Andre Clark. I work here in North Carolina, and I am a CICS, or Customer Information Control System, support specialist. I have been in this role for about almost 16 years now, and I work sometimes directly with the customer on any problems or concerns that they may have, or via cases or whatnot. Always some new things. They're always running into difficult problems. So I help them solve their problems in the most efficient manner possible, and help them stay up and running and make sure that they don't incur any outages or whatnot that they don't run into. So never a dull moment.
Awesome. Andre, thank you so much. Louisa.
Hi, everyone. My name's Louisa Sears, and I've been in IBM about 10 years. I came up similar to Zakir through apprenticeships, and I've recently done a degree apprenticeship in the UK. I'm a product manager for Kix TS, and I'm also an Open Mainframe Project Ambassador and part of the project Galassa through the open source project.
Awesome. Louisa, thank you so much for joining us. All right, Zakir, I'm going to come back to you because you've got a lot going on. You are, as you mentioned, relatively new to the platform. Can you share a little bit about your journey, and did the experience differ at all from the expectations that you had?
Yeah, definitely. So it's been exciting. That's one word to describe it. But my overall experience with the IBM Z team and IBM as a whole has been nothing much of engaging and supporting. Like, I've enjoyed every single second of it. The IBM Z team have been incredibly engaging, and the support from colleagues, mentors, the training programs that are available have been really made it easy to come and start within IBM Z, because I did have a good knowledge of IBM Z and the mainframe before joining, but however, when coming and starting to work with the team, it was like completely mind-boggling. So it was a big learning curve, a big learning experience for the first 6 months at least. And so I had to consume a lot of knowledge, and the resources and the team made that really easy to do. Also, with joining IBM, like, they're really big on innovation. So being able to learn new stuff, learn new skills, that continuous dynamic of continuous learning was something I didn't really expect, but something I'm really grateful for, because I'm able to still juggle the work that I'm doing and still have time to actually learn new skills, which is really key for me. And then also the experience has been really hands-on, which is something I really, really wanted. And it's been amazing because I've been able to like get involved with workshops, run events, drive campaigns, work with different teams like the IT economics teams, and it's been really good. Also, for example, like I have a 3270 terminal emulator on my MacBook over here. I'm able to access the labs from the Montpellier labs for different systems, and it's been incredibly hands-on, and I'm enjoying it. And then also with the opportunities for like my growth, personal growth, it's been incredible. So I've been able to speak to people with 30 years plus experience, and they're able to sort of guide me in the right direction and help me to start planning about where my future and where I could go. So it's been amazing.
That is fantastic. So it's about making sure that you have that hands-on experience, not just as you go through the training, but then having kind of that playground to play with to hone your skills. And then also the mentoring and that open community, if you will, an inviting open community. Is that fair?
Yeah,
And that
that's
mentorship.
exactly
Now,
that.
I don't know if everyone knows what a degree apprenticeship is. Now, I'm familiar with it, and I think it's such an amazing program that we kind of brought it back to the US and figured out how could we potentially do this within the US, and I would love to see it in other geos as well. Can you just really quickly describe what is a degree apprenticeship program?
Yeah, certainly. So the degree apprenticeship program is a combination of, you're studying, whether you're doing a degree or another qualification, along with working within a company. So be it IBM. So I work 4 days a week with IBM, and I dedicate one day to studying, and I'm set to achieve a Bachelor's of Science in Digital and Technology Solutions, hopefully specializing in cybersecurity.
Oh, that's fantastic. But speaking of cybersecurity, so you work within the Z security area. Can you talk about your experience here?
Yeah, definitely. So the role that I do is a client technical specialist, and it focuses on Z security. So I'm working with a range of solutions and products regarding threat and vulnerability management, cryptography, identity and access management, data security, and compliance. So the whole shebang. And we do a lot of work with solution development as well. So I design and I work with the team to design and sort of implement security frameworks that are able to use the IBM security capabilities and the products and work with different system architectures and sort of tailor it to what the client sort of wants and their needs. And then also like the role I've been doing is really nice because I feel like I'm making an impact as well at the same time. So I'm working with the teams to sort of develop and lead Z security campaigns within the UKI market. And I work with the architects and the clients, and they bring me on to sort of like build the gap and bridge the gap between security questions and workshops and assessments. And yeah, it's been great because I've also been able to get involved with like strategic product roadmaps, which is good. And we're able to, outline that to the clients. And then with the sort of educational side of things, I get the right balance with my university, and it's really good because also within the work aspect, I'm able to still go on these learning platforms, and I'm working with teams who build me roadmaps so they can see my evolution in security, so I can pick up even more things, even more products, and talk to more clients, which is nice. And then in terms of like feedback, it's been really good. I've been sort of recognized as now becoming an SME in Z security, which is good. So a subject matter expert, and it's been evidenced with good feedback. So that's really been good from both peers, from clients, and then running these workshops, these assessments, and the work I actually produce. So it's been really, really good.
That is so I'm sorry, tell me again, what background in security did you have coming into when you first started with IBM?
Yeah, so I came directly from A levels or sixth form. So um, I only studied security in my studies, and it was more computer science, and I had a keen interest in security and cybersecurity. So I done a lot of self-learning, a lot of hands-on, a lot of development work, and when I came into IBM, it was a lot of learning, but I was able to implement that learning and combine it into what I do now, which is great.
That is incredible. So, and what a really quick on-ramp, right? To now be able to working, not just learning, but actually working on something that matters and heading into that subject matter expert area, right? And really making a difference in what you're doing, right?
Yeah, it's been good, especially because the team have sort of helped me and supported me to take that Z security role in the UK. So that's been amazing. It's been fantastic.
That's great. That's great. Is there anything else you want to share about your experience before we move on?
Um, it's it's just been amazing overall, and especially the team, the Z-Stack UKI team, they've been incredibly supportive. So thanks to them.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I think now, since we're on the topic of security, should we flip it over to Anne? Anne,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your view on IBM Z, particularly some of the latest developments around quantum safe, and you get to work on some really awesome, cool stuff and really innovative, really future looking, and ensuring that the platform's not only ready for today, but ready for tomorrow as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I am really excited about being able to work in the security area on the platform. We have incredible security capabilities that we are constantly improving, because one thing about security, it continues to change. And I actually focus in an area called cryptography. And you might wonder, like, what is cryptography about? Cryptography is really a set of tools that we have when we have use cases that require like privacy or confidentiality or integrity or proof of authorship, authentication, things like that. And so in order to do those kind of use cases or support those kind of use cases, we need cryptographic algorithms. And so the cryptographic algorithms are really designed to be secure and to protect the data and assets that we have. But something that's happening is that we are kind of entering a new cryptographic era. We're entering a time where quantum computing plays into things. And IBM has been long leader in technology development, in developing computing systems. So we're fortunate in that we have our research organization that is working on quantum computing, because quantum computing is going to unlock significant innovation. But in the hands of an adversary, a bad guy, a quantum computer can actually be used to break the cryptographic protections that we have been using for many years. And so IBM research on the other side has been looking at developing quantum safe algorithms. And these are algorithms basically that are resistant to attack by quantum computers. I just actually got back from the PQC, is what it's called in the industry, post-quantum cryptography conference that was sponsored by NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And so they were really talking about just all the work that had gone into identifying great algorithms. And so 4 of the next algorithms that they plan to standardize have been influenced by IBM. 3 have been developed by IBM and its industry partners and partners in academia. And so we are leveraging that technology in our Z system. We are continuing to develop new algorithms. We have some new ones that for future competition. One's called Mayo, the other's called Oil and Vinegar, and the other's called Ski Sign. So they all have code names for the time being, but the technology is just growing and changing. And that's one thing that we have to do. On the Z platform, we try to stay ahead of the threats. So we've got to constantly be looking at the technology, looking at the platform, looking at the threat model, and making sure that the capabilities we provide are going to help our clients protect their sensitive data and their assets. And so it's really fun for me to work in that area. I've worked in security for IBM for over 25 years, and it's been an incredible experience because I'm constantly learning, constantly growing, and we won't talk about teamwork. Teamwork is critical. I get to work with the IBM Q team. I get to work with the IBM research team that looks at quantum algorithms and quantum safe algorithms. So it's a constant effort to really just keep up with what's going on, but you learn so much and you get so engaged. It's amazing. It's really amazing. And as we start to see what's happening in the industry, not only will we need to support these new quantum technologies in our systems, but systems around the world will need to be updated to support this new technology. And it's really, really exciting that a lot of the technology that's going to be used to protect our systems going forward was developed by IBM Research. And we get to really use that technology to protect the Z platform. So it's really exciting. We get to work with them on protocols, and we design protocols to help protect the system. So it's really a neat, neat area. And we're going to see a lot of change happening over the next several years as quantum computing capabilities grow, and we also strengthen our platform and our capabilities that we have and make available to our clients.
Awesome, Anne. And in fact, I mean, if you look at the threat profiler, if you look at what are some of the top concerns today from our clients, obviously security is,
Yes.
if not the top, it's very, very close to the top, because these threats are becoming more and more sophisticated, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The threats are becoming more and more sophisticated. Just as we have great engineers that are working on developing good technology, we also have bad engineers that are out there that are trying to break the technology. People are going to try and gravitate to where the money is. So that's what you see happening. Security is used to protect assets, and the bad guys really want to go after the assets. So we have to keep up with what potential threats that they might try and use against our solutions.
Right. And it's not just about what can you do today, right? But it's about what are they doing today to capture that data to then be able to unlock it in the future and use it in the future, right?
Absolutely. That's one of the key threats that you're mentioning right there. It's something called a harvest now, decrypt later attack. And what happens is a data breach will occur and the bad guy will capture your data. And he doesn't have to have a quantum computer today to break it. He will harvest the data, hold on to it till a time in the future when a quantum computer is available, and then use that quantum computer to get access to your secrets. So we have to be thinking about not only protecting data today, but well into the future. We have to be thinking about when there's a sufficiently strong quantum computer, or what they call a cryptographically relevant quantum computer, are we going to be able to protect our system and our assets? And so we're working on those kind of technologies to make sure that we can do that. And we have some of that capability available on the Z systems today.
That was my next question, Ann. We've been, the Z16 has been out there for a while, right? And we've had
Yes.
Quantum Safe out there.
Yes.
What are you seeing that our clients are doing with this?
Oh, it's amazing because we not only provide the crypto, but we also provide tools for our clients to understand what they have going on in their system from a security perspective so that they can really understand their security posture. And so a lot of clients are doing different things. We have a lot of clients that are educating themselves about the threats that are out there from a quantum safe perspective and a quantum computing perspective. We have clients that are using our tools to inventory the crypto that they're using on the platform. They're evaluating, where am I using crypto and why am I using crypto? And is this an area that I might need to change? So they're looking at that and they're using some of the tools that we make available on the platform to do that. Some of our clients are already prototyping sample applications that they want to use. For example, there's a financial institution that digitally signs documents. They digitally sign their mortgages. So they have a prototype where they are using our hardware security module, the Crypto Express, to digitally sign some of the documents that they are creating. They sign documents for mortgages and things like that, and they want to make sure that a forgery doesn't occur with respect to those documents. And so they're using those kind of capabilities that we make available in the hardware security module with quantum safe algorithms, because some of those, if you think about it, a deed could need to be valid for 50 years or more. And so some of those documents that need to be kept secure for a very long time have that need to be secure today and into the future. So they're starting to prototype using our Z technology to make sure that they can keep their clients' critical information and critical documents secure.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, Zakir, did you have since you work in the security and you've got Anne here, our expert, did you have any questions for Anne before we move on to our next panelist?
I've actually spoken to Anne pretty recently. We met a couple of weeks back at an event, so we've been in touch.
Excellent. Excellent. Isn't it great to have, that's one of the things that you kind of brought up in your journey, right, to the platform, and your continual journey to the platform is being able to have access to mentors and to experienced individuals like Anne as you're going through your career and as you start to learn, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Now, Andre, we're going to bring you into the conversation. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal journey from being being a student up until an IBMer and working on Kix?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually have a pretty similar story to Zakir, but it's from I'd say a less sort of structured type of deal, because so back when I first got my first experience with ZOS, IBM just happened to offer a course at the university that I attended. So it wasn't quite like now you have the degree apprenticeship programs and it's more structured. You can go out and search for things like that. It was kind of happenstance, right? They happened to offer a course at my university at the time. It was only offered for one semester. And I had a pretty convincing professor at the time who convinced me that it would be something to look into, that it would be something that kind of suits my needs. So I took the course and ended up doing well in the course. It was very introductory, very baseline. I had no idea about what ZOS was or what a mainframe was. I only really heard about it in movies and things like that. So I really didn't know anything about it. So like I said, I took the course, did well in the course, and I was able to parlay that into an internship with IBM, or a co-op with IBM at the time. I was actually in the group of the professors who were teaching the course. So I was able to go directly from taking the course to working with them. I did that for about 7 months or so. So it was good, real world experience about, what goes on in a large company like IBM and sort of the customer's needs and things like that. So I was able to do that, did that for 7 months. And then after that internship ended, they didn't quite have a full-time opening in that group, but since I was already sort of in the IBM ecosystem, I was able to land another position within IBM dealing with, I was doing AIX support, which is sort of like Linux and Unix. It's sort of the same type of deal. So I did that for about a year, but then there was a sort of a reorg in the organization, and I happened to have another opportunity presented to myself to work here in Kix. And actually at the time, the manager of the Kix support team at the time, she happened to be my manager when I was a co-op. So we already had kind of that previously understood relationship between each other. And so I've been in the Kix area, ever since then. That was back in 2008. So I've been in Kix since then, but in a variety of different roles. Like when I first started, I was really just doing support and just trying to help customers, figure out their problems as they incurred them. But now, I still do that because my passion really is debugging, figuring out problems. I enjoyed programming when I was in college, but that wasn't really my passion. I would have done it if that's what I needed to do, but that wasn't ever really my passion, right? My passion really was figuring out problems, understanding what's going on with the problems, and helping to resolve those. So the role that I'm in now, it kind of suits that, right? I can kind of get my hands around those types of problems, keep dealing with that, because like I said, that's what I like the most. But also now I'm in a bit of a more expanded role since I'm one of the team leads on the team. So now I get to go out and give presentations and things like that, go out to different customers, work more one-on-one directly with customers on the problems that they're having and things like that. And then also get to take on some side projects. Like we have some things going on with generative AI with a chat bot. And not and this, the good thing is it's not necessarily from the application development perspective. It's more so from the client's perspective and helping them figure out problems so that they don't even have to open up a problem with us, right? To help them be more self-sufficient, and help them learn, because a lot of our customers, they want to be as self-sufficient as possible. And things like the chatbot and making use of generative AI and Watson and all that kind of stuff can help them on their journey to going down that route. So, I still get to do a little bit of the debugging, my normal day-to-day work, quote unquote, normal day-to-day work. But I also have a lot of different side projects that I'm involved in that I do as well. But that keeps, it keeps everything fresh. It's never a dull moment here. So it makes the job very fun, and you kind of never know what you're going to walk into every day.
That's so awesome. So I'm gonna let me see if I can pull out some things that you brought up. One of the things that I hear over and over again is when I talk with individuals that work on the platform, is that one of the most exciting things about the platform is that every day there's something new, right? There's constant growth. What I really liked about your story is you can also, it takes you to all different areas, right? There's transferable skills that you're learning on any given day. And depending on what area of IT that you're interested in or technology, you can actually find that on the platform. Right. But the other key thing is when we're talking about talent, talking about skills, talking about where do we find talent, one of the most important components is just making sure that the individual is curious, right? And wants to grow and also has that growth mindset or has that curiosity to want to problem solve, right? So I hear about the problem solving and the puzzling things out, because for a lot of us, me included, that's one thing I absolutely love doing. So tell us a little bit more. Is there anything else within your day-to-day from your challenges that you're responsible from a Kix perspective that you want to share with the rest of the group, or are you good to go?
Right. So yeah, so just about the challenge. So challenges sometimes comes with the word challenge, sometimes comes with the negative connotations, but for me, I just look at it as opportunity, right? It's just an opportunity to learn something new, to take advantage of something, or to maybe you're the one that helps solve a major problem that a client is having, and then you can help them out, because really that's the end goal of it. So as far as on a day-to-day basis, like I said before, you never really know what you're going to walk into every day. Some days you come in and everything is calm and you can ease into your day. And some days you come in and things have been on fire for hours before you've gotten there. And then as soon as you log on, you have to jump right in and help to solve the problem. But I think if you're that kind of person who likes that kind of environment and who can do well in that kind of environment, then this sort of role, it kind of works for that. So a lot of the recent challenges that I've been dealing with is really just trying to keep up with the changes that are going on externally to IBM and that are going on in the workplace, and these technologies that clients are trying to take advantage of, and to try to keep up with that, right? Because a lot of the problems that we're running into now, they're more complex problems, because our clients are in various different areas, right? So it's not just simple compile problems that we used to run into years ago. You're dealing with more structured problems, more multi-layered problems. So it takes a bit more time to figure out what's going on with those. But when you get to the end of that, it's a good feeling on either side, right? You help the client figure out their problem, and then you learn something. You kind of learn something in the meantime as well. So that's one thing. And then, like I said, just going back to the fact that anything can happen. So just recently, I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and then I come back and I find out that I've been assigned to a project with a large U.S. bank, dealing with investigation into their systems, and to the availability of it, making sure they have the lessen the amount of outages and things like that they work on or that they incur. And I had no idea that this project even existed prior to vacation, but then I come back and I found out that I'm the one that's been assigned to it, right? But that's fine with me, right? Because it's something new. It's something that I've never really done before. So it's another another opportunity for me to gain some more experience in a different area, or from learn things from a different perspective, and just to try to hash it out as and take it as far as I can go. So I'm always open to new and different opportunities. I just look at them, like I said, as opportunities to learn, as opportunities to grow, and to try things out, right? You're never really going to know. You don't really know what you like until you try it, and then you work into it, and then you say, oh, well, this is totally different than what I thought it was going to be, but I love this area, or I like this area, and I like the deliverables that I'm able to lead to at the end of it. So yeah, I'm always open to new, like the chat, like I was talking about before with the chat
Yep.
bot and making use of generative AI. This chatbot project that we've been on has been going on for a while, but the change to use large language models and machine learning, that was something that just changed last year. So we went from one version of the chatbot to a totally different one. But now I get to learn about AI and machine learning and things like that, to try to build my my repertoire, and at the end of the day, help the clients figure out problems and help them be more self-sufficient. So I always get to learn
Great.
something new. It's never just the baseline problems anymore.
Excellent.
Just
Well,
always
thank you,
something
Andre.
different.
Definitely. It is that it's that ability to constantly be learning, and not also one of the key things when individuals are looking at jobs, they're looking for how do you ensure that your skills remain relevant now and into the future. And definitely with this platform, there's always something new. It's learning the new technology so that your skills continue to develop, evolve, and always remain relevant. And so, Louisa, I'm gonna turn over to you. You are working on some exciting products around open source. Can you provide your perspective on the Z platform and opening up the platform and how Z is leading in this space? And before you answer, if anyone has questions, please be sure to be putting them into the chat so we can get to them. All right, so Louisa, over to you. Open source. Oops, I think you're on mute. If you want to unmute.
Apologies. It's interesting because the first thing that you were talking about earlier was around standardization on the platform and reducing specialist skills. And that seems to be a lot of what I'm talking about at the moment through the Open Mainframe project, which is part of the Linux Foundation, if anyone on the call hasn't heard of that before. So the Open Mainframe project is something I got involved in about a year ago, to bring a project called Galassa into the open source, which is an integrated test framework that looks at bringing mainframe tests into a framework that Java developers and distributed developers can understand as well. But the Open Mainframe project do lots of really interesting things around bringing open source into our customers' environments, working on how we can ready customers to bring open source more readily onto their platform, because 5 years ago this wasn't really talked about. So some projects you might have heard of are things like Zoe, Cobalt Check. They do the Open Mainframe education. So there's a lot of really good and exciting stuff that the Open Mainframe project are doing, and it's all led around standardization. So something like Zoe allows you to access the mainframe through VS Code. You don't have to have the same experience of working at 3270. And whenever I give presentations on Galassa, I always joke about the fact that I didn't come in natively to the mainframe. I understand how to test a 3270. I understand how to test kicks. And that for me is a huge step of a barrier really that I find often when talking about closed source and proprietary tooling, is that it's quite difficult to understand from someone new, whereas working with open source allows you to connect into IntelliJ or some Eclipse tooling that perhaps is a lot easier to understand than that native ISPF handling. And IBM's kind of doing a lot of work around the Open Mainframe project. And in Linux in general, there are lots of other projects like Ansible and Jenkins that the mainframe ecosystem revolves around. So it's really exciting in the Open Mainframe project at the moment, and we're bringing a lot more on board. I saw that the ZOS open tools has just been accepted as well through the TAC. which is the board that the Open Mainframe Project accept projects on. So there's a lot of really exciting stuff coming through, and it's all about bringing new people. And it's like you said, Meredith, earlier, you know, you can be really, really experienced in the mainframe, but still be learning new things from the people that are coming up from college or from school. And I think open source brings that parity together, because it kind of brings the old and the new together, which I think makes a huge difference to a lot of the mainframe shops that we work with.
That's great. I really like how you put that. And in fact, for anyone who is interested in learning more about some of these open source tools, you know, the IBM Z Explore program and that learning experience, it's not just for new folks. It's not just for new to Z. It's also, if you want to learn about how are we interfacing with the mainframe today, some of the modern tooling, go through the Z Explore. And not only does Z Explore do foundational, but it's also now has different tracks on the more advanced topics as well, to kind of give you, I like to call it a taste of. So if you need a taste of MQ, a taste of ZVM, other areas, that's out there and available within Z Explore, and it's all using VS Code. So Louise, another thing that I think that you work on, what about, and that we hear about today, as I mentioned, security is absolutely top of mind, right? But we also hear a lot about sustainability in IBM Z. You want to share anything on that?
Yeah, so I have a very similar path to Zakir in getting into my education in general. Coming in as an apprentice at 18, you know, I joined out of school straight into IBM. And then later, when I was about 25, which was only about 3 years ago, but I was about 25, I chose to do a degree apprenticeship, a bit like Zahir, except mine was in business. And so I went through my 3 years of university whilst doing my work within Z. And the question that they kept asking was, well, what are you going to do for your dissertation, your last final piece of work? And the big thing at the time was looking at how we could measure the carbon footprint of our software development. So it's all very well looking at the data centers and how that's being managed, but also looking at how we could measure the CO2 of, for example, the commuting that we do, or if we're running builds every night for 4 hours every night, how much CO2 is that going to emit? So my project was all around that, but it was kind of a gateway into the rest of the sustainability landscape, because a lot of the work that the team have done around the Z16 and the Linux One boxes is all around how we can be more sustainable and reduce the footprint and be more efficient. So for example, they use a lot of LPAR specific monitoring. The AIOps portfolio at the moment have a lot of work to do with how do you make the work that's going through the mainframes more observable, easier to see exactly what load is going through at what time, and how you can balance that with the sort of electricity and the footprint of the data center. So it's kind of all kind of merged together, but there are two sort of sides. There's the how do you develop on the system itself, and how do you make the coding more efficient with the amount of tests you're running or the amount of code, millions of lines of code you have in your system, but also the physical footprint of the boxes. You know, those the data centers that we have can be vast, and they have a lot of different types of technology. You might have AIX, or you might have x86s, but they're very different to the ZBox, which can be extremely efficient, as most of the people on the call would probably know. But that's a huge part of the Z16 and Linux One story at the moment, which I've been heavily involved with, which has been a lot of fun. The team are great, and I think customers we're slowly waking up to it, but it's taking time. It's taking time. It's not quite as focused as security, I don't think, at the moment.
So, you know, you've got that hybrid cloud, you've got digital transformation, you've got security, cyber risk, and now you've got sustainability that's out there. So it's definitely raising to the top and on the top of minds of many CEOs. And it will eventually kind of, as you say, continue to grow as we're doing everything. But to the point that Andre made, I there is a lot going on out there right now. It's fast. It is very fast paced. There's new technologies, whether it's Gen AI. By the way, when we talk about AI, it's more than just generative AI, right? There's traditional AI, there's also the generative AI, and there is still a ton of value to be had out of traditional AI. So it's not, once again, this is the challenge, right? It's always an and, it's not an or. So we keep on learning more and more and more. And it's about how can you leverage all of these things together to really help drive innovation, help to address the threats that are out there, help to continue to develop the skills and the talent, and also leverage technology to really make everything easier so you can focus on the bottom line of what your business needs to do to remain competitive in the market. So with that, I'm just looking to see if there are any additional questions that might be out there by anyone. I don't see anything.
Now, we don't have any at the moment, Meredith, so folks who are on the call, perhaps don't be as shy as you're currently being. If you want to pop a question in the chat window. Meredith popping more links in there we go.
Threw that out there. All right. Okay, if there's nothing else, and any final words of advice as we start to kick off the next few days of the amazing GSE UK event?
I just think dig in, learn. There, you're going to hear some incredible information. This will be a very, very important set of sessions that you'll hear. So take out your pen and paper and take some notes.
Yes, excellent, excellent words of advice, because it's got to be that growth-minded curiosity, constantly be learning and connecting the dots, but also leverage the community and the network around you, because quite honestly, we can't do it on our own, right? So it takes a village, and this is your village. So Andre, any closing remarks?
Yeah, just piggybacking on that. Really just, it's a lot out there, but don't let the amount of information that is out there and the newness that you have to it be an intimidating factor. Because really this space in general is very much a community focused type of environment. There's always people around you to support you, to help you along your journey, whether they're 30 years of experience or whether they're 2 years of experience. And everybody has some sort of experience that can be applicable to what's going on. But yeah, just be open to it. Don't be afraid to try it, and then just kind of push it forward as far as you can take it.
Awesome, Andre, I totally agree. And in fact, one of the things that we constantly talk about is that diversity of thought, and having diversity of thought in the room whenever you're trying to innovate or to solve a problem, because what one person might think and another person might think, you might think the answer is here, you might think the answer is there, but until you get together, you didn't even realize that the answer was actually, something completely different. So, but you didn't know that until you had the different experiences all in the room together. Exactly. Awesome. Louisa, how about you?
I would say that if you're interested in contributing to open source or having a look at any of the things that I mentioned today, the Open Mainframe project can be found on YouTube, LinkedIn, and on their website. So you get lots of blog articles. All of the projects do webinars or demonstrations online that you can watch at your own leisure. And of course, you can contact me if you have any further questions about that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Louisa. Over to you, Zakir. Any final words?
My final word would probably be ask questions. That's the thing that's got me the experience and the exposure I've got. And even if it's just relationship building or trying to achieve something, starting off with the question is the best way to go about something. It leads a conversation, and that's my favorite approach of having conversations, is by asking a question and following it off with another conversation of some sort. So ask the questions, whether it's the sessions that you're attending like today, or whether you'll want to speak to the speakers, ask those questions.
That is fantastic. Have that courage to ask the question, because most likely there's somebody else in the room that has the same question. You're not the only one out there. So definitely continue to ask questions, continue to be curious. Now, we did have a question that came in. Joe, I think that there's a good story about customer running AI models on the Telum for fraud detection. Absolutely. There have been so many incredible use cases that keep coming up relative to the Telum chip. As many of you probably know, the Telum chip has those inferencing accelerators. So for example, we've had clients who prior to the Telum chip, when we were first looking at what do we want to do with the Z16, and this is what I love about Z, is because we're constantly looking at not only what are we doing now, and not just the next platform or the next platform, but the next platform. We're constantly working on 3 different platforms at any given time out into the future, and really understanding what do our clients need? What are you seeing out there? Not just what are we seeing out in the market? What are the trends? Working with research as well and understanding what they're doing, but really what are some of the challenges that our clients are having? And one of the key components when it came to AI was not so much about the learning or the training of the models or the creation of the models. It was, how do you then take that AI and put it into production? Because when we go to put it out into production and you're doing that real-time scoring, because of the SLAs, just wasn't able to get through all of the scoring. Maybe 20% of the scoring got done, which means 80% not only were they not being scored, or maybe there were incorrect scores coming back. So there was your false negatives, right? So how many times you're out there, you got your credit card or whatever it is that you're working on, and it comes back that you can't use it, and you go and you flip and you use another one. So through the Telum chip, with putting the accelerators down into the hardware and down into the chip, which, as you know, the Z platform is known for doing, it really focuses on how can we add these accelerators, particularly for transaction processing. Now, clients are able to score 100% of those transactions without any impact to those SLAs, not only improving the overall experience for the client and for the customer, but also saving millions and millions of dollars. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, because I'm sure that you probably work very closely with Elpida, is our DE that works on that.
No, you covered it, Meredith, because it's really a great use case that has been very successful with many clients. They really do appreciate the fact that they are able to now score so many more transactions, thus saving them lots and lots of money.
Yeah. All right. So with that, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us. Take an hour out of your day. That's a lot of time. I have had an absolute blast talking with this panel and learning more and more. Just remember, when it comes to skills, we've got so many different programs that are out there. There is a ton of talent that is out there ready and willing and wanting to work on this platform, especially when they understand what they can do on it. Having that growth mindset, having that curiosity, wanting and loving to work on problems. We've got the training that'll get them there. We've got this incredible community of mentors that will help them along. They just need the opportunity. So with that, over to you, Mark.
Meredith and everybody else on the panel, thank you very, very much. That's a it's a great way to start. That's session number 1 of another 163 to come over the next 3 days. So if you want to learn something, this is the place. We start again tomorrow morning at 8:30. For those who've attended, please go to the agenda pages, bring your own agenda pages on the GSE website, leave us some feedback. Be great to get some feedback. But Meredith and team, thank you very much. Really enjoyed that. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.